Top 10 pickups for Infinite Forbidden. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we're going to be starting off over here with the Mimighoul theme. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, this theme doesn't seem, particularly good, but I like gimmick decks. I like, especially when you can probably get a Mimighoul, core for maybe $10. Just to see, what power-ups that the OCG is going to toss this. Now remember, like Ashen, this is a TCG exclusive archetype, which means you'll have 2 waves of TCG support, and then half a year, 9 months? The OCG gives them their own support, ported into a core set. So, something to look forward there, but I do think that looking at the Mimighoul theme for something for fun, I do recommend this. I know, the word fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! But this is the pickups video. You never know what's going to break some sort of card along the way, or, have some sort of really cool synergy that you're just going to be like, I did not expect to actually see that. Next up is the spell card Soul Exchange and the spell card Monster Reborn. Now, both of these cards are kind of interesting in what they're attempting to bring to the table. They're more modernized eras of these cards. The Soul Exchange gives whatever you're basically tributing protection from being tributed off of the downside bonus effect, and the Monster Reborn is kind of a good card overall. But both of these traditional remakes, I think, add quite a lot of interesting layers to what you can kind of expect to see. And if you're, somebody that's like, hey, I've been wanting to pick up some of these, retrains or add these to the collection, obviously, I'm a sucker over here for trying to play anything with, Obelisk the Tormentor and, a fun style deck. So, I personally am all about seeing what we can have with the interactions with the Soul Exchange spell card. And, even to a lesser extent, the Monster Reborn, just to have a little bit of fun with these. Next up is the Magic Colloidal Soul. Now, for those of you that don't know what in the world this thing actually was, this was a new monster card, TCG exclusive. It says, if a monster is special summoned by your trap effect, except during the damage step, we can special summon this card from the hand, but if you special summoned it from the graveyard, banish it when it leaves the field. So it's the pop out either or, which actually is pretty good. And then during your opponent's battle phase, you gain 2 sorts of effects. One lets you synchro summon, so you can make Herald and Sprite, and the other one lets you exceed summon to make, a totally awesome or something during your opponent's turn. So I was looking at this card, I was like, this is an interesting tech choice for Sprite. Now, is this going to make or break things? No, but, considering the fact that the Sprite core has become so cheap, when we have these little extra pieces along the way that you look at that could possibly serve some sort of additional purpose, I think the Magical Colloidal Soul definitely checks that mark. Next up is the Light and Darkness Dragon cards. You know that I am an absolute, fiend for Light and Darkness Dragon. I love that card. It is one of the coolest designed cards that I've had the chance to enjoy in this game. And we got Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, I think is his name now. The new support, everything is low rarity, and the fusion itself is also low rarity. So think about that. If you could pick up, this Light and Darkness Dragon stuff for literally nothing to have just as once again, a fun deck. A lot of these pickups are potential long-term things that could spice it up. Also, I think that quarter century Light and Darkness Dragon is going to look amazing. I'm super excited to actually see how that's going to turn out. But Light and Darkness Dragon making my top pickups for this set just for the potential fun department. Exodia, the Incarnate. All right, well, you already knew that when you were looking at this theme, we got the Millennium cards, which all fuel this Exodia hype train out here. The Millennium Hawk. We do have the Millennium Blue Eyes coming out in the next set, which helps out this deck massively. And I'm not going to lie to you, for a theme that involves around basically making Exodia slightly more competitive, yeah, this deck is so fun. It makes the top pickups because not only is it Exodia, it is a different style of deck than I think what people are actually kind of used to seeing in the game. Basically having this unlimited boss monster that takes, 1,000 life points during each of your standby phases. Oh no. Anyway, it literally is, Grandpa's Exodia from the final arc, which is so cool. Next up is Gimmick Puppet. So, for the short end, or the short term, Gimmick Puppet FTK will be a viable deck that you will be able to mess around with in the TCG. Everything in the Gimmick Puppet sphere should be relatively easy to achieve out here. So we're plugging this into the top 10 pickups here because cheap deck to use, slightly easy method of madness to be able to, pull together and be able to punish your opponent with. Application and ease of use are some very important things. And after a couple of YouTube tutorials out here, and you're looking at this and going, oh, this OTK, does have something to it. Yes, they typically do. That's the reason why you look at these sorts of things and go, maybe there is something to this. So, for all intents and purposes right now, get ready to watch the Gimmick Puppet stuff blast off into orbit. Next up is Malchi. We already know that we have another Malchi coming in Rage of the Abyss. Shout out to Rage of the Abyss. If you've not checked out getting those pre-orders for that, Kong's Cards, discount code MQ40 over there when they have it up will save you on your purchase. So, they took the Great Maxi, split its power gemstones across the world, threw them to the wayside, and basically they created this new series of Sea Life to basically try to maybe eliminate Max C out of the course of the game. Hey man, splitting up, power cards and making lesser versions of them only took them like 15 years in order to do this, but I guess when you gotta make some sales, you gotta make some power cards out here. But I am leaving this on the list, whether or not this card is an initial hit across the board. I mean, it's a good side deck card, and it will have value. I don't think anybody is doubting that. Next up is the Silhouette Rabbit, or the Top Hat Hare, as we like to call it by its OCG name. A Link 2 that can pull out any trap monster from the deck and set it to your field. I love this card. Looking at, early prices for this, it's a one-of. This thing should not be punching you for $50. I think there's a giant misconception across the board with people looking at this card going, it's going to be so much money! I mean, the good targets aren't even that broken. Like, this Azarune statue is not going to cost you a lot of money. I think you can get commons across the board at like nothing. And then other versions of it are, the super's like, what, $2, $3? So that's a big thing to look at here in terms of meta application. You need a one-of secret rare for the chance that you are playing this Azarune, as the chance to have this card be pulled out so you can do your thing. And then, of course, Dominus Purge. This, to me, I've been seeing people pre-selling this card at like $11. And this is an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring card. This literally lets you activate it from the hand. Yeah, it does have a downside of locking you out of 3 attributes for the rest of the game if you activate it from the hand. But my takeaway with this is, this card is so good. I do not foresee this card sticking around at these $11 price points that I'm seeing people list this at. And if it does, well, then I'm wrong. But, people are going to look at Ash and be like, having multiple copies of this in a deck, it might shut off your other Ashes, but then just Ash first, and then Dominus Purge. Just kind of throwing that out there. I think on the cheap end of things, this is 150% the look at for this set, for sure. We're also, for this list, we're not going to mention Fiendsmith because, I'm not worried about Fiendsmith, and I don't really think a lot of the standard meta community, the casual community really gives a crap. It's expensive. Next up is Dragon of Pride and Soul. This is our first QCR of this. Signaling, we got, 3 sets left of this stuff, which, I'll be honest with you, is a little bit rough. A lot of people want these QCRs to be done with, but I think after seeing the Magicians of Pride and Soul were some pretty cool stuff. I will say, collectability is always going to be key. I'm always super excited to see what they can throw at things, and keep an eye on Dragon of Pride and Soul and Unity, or Pride and Soul. I'm curious to see what they can pull out long term for the price point of the first one. If it's anything like our Magician, the first one was worth a lot, but we will have to wait and see. So, what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.